Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on Newsfeed today. 117 million children at risk of not being vaccinated for treatable diseases as social distancing stops healthcare professionals from doing their work. We hear from Unicef. Digital dating sees a boom during the pandemic. Masks given out to everyone for free in Turkey for people aged 20 to 65. And why are these people clapping? We'll tell you at the end of the programme. And top of our newsfeed, 117 million children. That's the number of kids the United Nations say are at risk of missing out on measles vaccinations due to the need to socially distance. The COVID-19 pandemic risks exacerbating an already dangerous situation, a measles outbreak last year, and the reluctance of people to get their children vaccinated due to misinformation about vaccine safety. We spoke to James Elder from Unicef, and he told us how important it is that the world doesn't lose focus on existing problems.
We risk two health crises. We're trying to protect people. We're trying to make sure that frontline workers have everything they need and there's enough frontline workers in the fight against COVID-19. At the same time, we know there's a lot of underlying health issues every day in Africa. Every day, hundreds of kids die from malaria. Every day, hundreds of children die from measles. At the moment, measles vaccinations have been stopped in dozens of countries around the world. So it's really important at the moment that we don't make the prevention, worse than the cure. So at this point, yes, it's critical to focus on COVID-19. It's also important to remember all those challenges, all those health issues that face children, in January this year and that continue to do so in April of this year. We have massive funding gaps. As I say, I'm really conscious of not talking money at these times because everyone's doing it tough. But I'm also very conscious of talking to epidemiologists that you cannot vanquish, you cannot beat COVID-19 in one part of the world and close your eyes to another, be it in sub-Saharan Africa, and hope the problem will go away. So we do need that. United States was incredible a month or so ago when the government offered $2 trillion to go amongst its people. The request for help is a fraction of that for hundreds of millions of people in sub-Saharan Africa. But, they can't be ignored at this time if we are truly to make this a global response and if it's to be globally successful against this pandemic. We know the funds are ultimately there. We know that there is the fiscal capability to ensure every child has a vaccine for measles. We know that whilst this pandemic must be defeated because it's hitting people in all corners of the globe and it's destroying economies, which also hurt people's health. We know that 5,000 kids have been dying year in, year out, every single day from malaria. Big countries that do have the resources, this is obviously not a time to turn inward. I think it's pretty clear that this crisis has told us we are all interconnected. The response will be the interconnected. We know everyone wants to look after their own backyard, but of course, there is no such thing at this point in time. If your backyard is clean of coronavirus, that will matter for about 5 minutes because of our connectivity. So, yet again, there is a case in practice and principle to help those who are the most vulnerable. So often those people are kids. There's been a lot of misinformation around COVID-19 and around vaccines that have been tried and tested for decades. We'll continue rather to keep combating that because those people who spread it, I don't know what kind of ideology that is basing it on. I do know that they cost everyday citizens' lives. UNICEF currently is trying to use social media for example, to share all the best messaging around COVID-19, hand washing, how to sneeze, why social distancing is so important. Already we've seen that this is, some construct that it's a foreign ploy. We know that's not the case, and I think our messaging so far has been successful. Unicef, WHO has enough grassroots connection to people to let it be really clear that once this vaccine comes, like so many other vaccines, this will make an enormous difference, that this vaccine should be used. The fight against misinformation around vaccines somehow doesn't end, even though they are one of the great gifts, one of the great inventions, one of humankind's great successes of the last 100 years. This is absolutely a time to double down, whether it is ensuring kids get measles vaccines, polio vaccines, or I hope very, very soon, a COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay, let's take a look at some other COVID-19 related stories that you may have missed. Some worrying news now. 141 people who had apparently recovered from COVID-19 in South Korea have now tested positive for it again. This has always been the fear of health officials, that people who have had the disease will not be immune to it afterwards. In this case, the early reporting is blaming faulty testing. South Korean scientists say they will know more about these results in about 2 weeks' time. This is a digital reimagining of the Diary of Anne Frank. It's been posted to YouTube by the Anne Frank House Museum and tells the story of the teenager imagining she had a vlog rather than a diary. A curator of the museum said the fact that billions are on lockdown now and forced to stay in may give them a better understanding of what Anne Frank went through during the Second World War. Anne Frank was also facing an existential threat, persecution by the Nazis because she was Jewish. She was eventually murdered by the Nazis in 1945. After being caught hiding in an attic in Amsterdam for 2 years. Instagram says it's helping small businesses by making it easier to add gift cards, allow for online food orders and fundraise. It's only available currently in the US and Canada. The BTS Army and our resident BTS expert Betul are all excited over this. The news that they'll be streaming their concerts from 2014 to 2019 on their official YouTube channel called Bangtan TV. Good news if you're stuck inside this weekend and watching 7 Korean guys dance around is your thing. And because we are all going mad, you can now invite a goat, an actual goat, to your Zoom meeting. It's being run by a site called Goat to Meeting, and it's not just goats that are available, you can invite llamas too. For a donation of $65, which goes to a farm charity, you can have a 4-legged hairy thing in your virtual meetups. And it will probably be more useful than some of the 2-legged things in the newsfeed virtual meeting each morning. Next, dating apps in the time of COVID-19. Those in need of love are not letting a pesky pandemic get in the way of them finding the woman or man of their dreams. So while millions are actually sick, the lovesick are turning where else? The internet is Louis.
The novel coronavirus is radically changing almost every aspect of human civilization, including dating. And while you can't yet meet your prospective beau for coffee, the search for love hasn't stopped, with dating apps experiencing a boom. Tinder recorded 3 billion swipes on the first Sunday of this month, the most ever. And one of the most popular apps to meet new people has made swiping easier than ever. It's expanded its free passport feature to anywhere around the world, not just your local neighborhood. Bumble, known as the feminist dating app, has added a virtual dating badge. Add it to your profile to signal your willingness to go from chatting on the app to a voice or video call. Bumble recorded a 93% increase in voice and video chat in late March. A study by Smart Time Analytics in Spain shows the use of Tinder has increased since a state of emergency was declared by 94.4% among those under 35. Similar jumps have been observed on other dating apps. Searches for nudes combined with coronavirus jumped 384% on Twitter from the beginning of March to April. The use of the peach emoji saw a 40% spike. And Chorus say there's a definite upwards trend in the use of the eggplant emoji in April. But as OkCupid executive Melissa Hubley points out, dating is not dead. It's just gone digital.
All right, we'll keep spinning around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Thursday. The United States has accused North Korea of cyber warfare and says it will pay $5 million to anyone who can provide evidence of the activity. America says North Korea is using cybercrime to skirt sanctions and has continued its activities despite President Trump claiming he has a great relationship with North Korea's dictator, Kim Jong-un. As many as 500 Rohingya refugees have been rescued by the Bangladeshi Coast Guard. They've been adrift in a small fishing boat for 2 months. They were headed for Malaysia from Bangladesh, but turned back when Malaysia closed its borders as part of the pandemic lockdown. 32 people died during this ordeal. Fossil fuel giant Royal Dutch Shell say they plan to be net zero carbon by 2050 or sooner. The energy group claims it can do so by investing more in renewable technology and selling cleaner products. The company is among energy firms who have seen shares plummet during the COVID-19 lockdown, which has resulted in a massive drop in demand for fossil fuel. Astronauts who spend more than 6 months in space have increased brain volume. The findings raise concerns for planned missions to Mars when humans will need to be in zero gravity for extended periods. Testing on astronauts found their brains had increased by 2% and could be the reason why many report problems with their vision once they return to Earth. Scientists say they will work on technology which better simulates gravity to allow people to stay in space for a longer period of time. Another option, if all this space travel is dangerous to astronauts' health, maybe they could just stay on Earth, but what do I know? Now here in Turkey, the government is trying to ensure people are not profiting by selling masks at inflated prices by making sure masks are available to everyone aged 20 to 65. They're given 5 masks every 10 days. Here's Rayhan with the report.
Turkey has started delivering free medical masks. All the citizens who are above 20 and under 65 years old will get 5 masks a week. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply for my weekly stash. I'm making the order on the online government gateway, where citizens normally reach their records and make official filings and requests. People are not allowed to enter shops and marketplaces without face masks, so everyone who goes out needs one right now. Those who are under 20 and above 65 have been banned from going out as part of the social distancing measures. The rest of us get 5 masks per week. I guess it's intended for each working day, and they give us the message that we should stay home on the weekends. The masks are going to be delivered straight to my address for free. The Turkish Post and Telegraph organization PTT is responsible for the deliveries. Now we'll go to PTT's main distribution hub and see how whole of the system works. We're gonna go and see how the masks are getting ready for delivery now, but first we gotta put on some protective equipment. In Turkey, there are about 50 million citizens who are eligible for the masks. That means a huge number of masks need to be produced and a grand delivery operation. The Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Infrastructure and Transportation work together on this project. This is a station where they take out the masks out of the boxes and put 5 in each plastic bag. This is a pack of 5 and it's ready to be delivered.
And last up, some good news for the homeless dogs of one town in the United States. Well, these mask-wearing, clapping people are celebrating the fact their kennel in Palm Beach, Florida is empty for the first time in its history. It's because they're not trying to collect stray dogs from the street anymore, and because people have been adopting the animals. And that will do from the Newsfeed team. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. You can subscribe to that channel and follow me on Twitter. Wash your hands, stay at home. See you tomorrow.